Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Well, Shane Tao, the mayor of Oakland, has finally done something going in the right direction, but it's a little bit late, actually, a lot bit late, and just too little. And I'm going to explain that and talk about that. Okay, so this morning, Mayor Shane Tao, was on KTVU, talking with Gasia Mikaelian of KTVU Channel 2. And she was saying that Oakland now has an additional 120 CHP officers, and it is authorized by Governor Gavin Newsom to assist with the out of control and rampant crime in Oakland. But here's the breakdown of those 120 additional officers. If you really want to see what it means, politicians like to use the big numbers, the bigger numbers, the 120. And then what 120 translates to is only 4 or maybe 5 officers per district. But that's not the case here, because CHP has said we will be patrolling predominantly roadways. We're going to be doing stolen cars. And I can tell you, I really witnessed this morning, because I went outside my gates, was walking my dog, and yes, CHP was down the streets and they were clearing cars. They cleared 2 stolen cars, one being a brand new Corvette Z06, white one. So, and it's been parked there for nearly 2 months, and it's again because of the illegal gambling den at the corner. And so today, nobody came out of that gambling den, which was interesting to claim the cars or say that they would move them, because every one of those cars were stolen down there. And so CHP were down there. There was a task force. There were 5 guys, 5 CHP officers in various states of uniform, but all stating police. And they were checking all the cars on a certain block. And that was because there's been a lot of complaints about that gambling den again, because they opened up and they've been causing a lot of problems here in the neighborhood. And also, where they're parking is the parking for employees for a business. So they're illegally parking where the business employees are. That's their parking. And so today they were removing cars. There's like, we know that that group is a problem, and police aren't doing anything. But at least the business down there, Creative Woods, have their parking spaces back. We got rid of the storage yard of stolen cars, and then again, the 120 officers, you got to divide that by 3 shifts. So even if you do a static, that's only 30 officers. Then you divide that by 7 districts. Doesn't come down to much. And one of the things that didn't specify was if that included day offs and vacation in that. But they're going to be providing 120 officers, additional CHP officers, to the city of Oakland to deal with the rampant crime, especially along the Airport Coliseum corridor, 98th Avenue, Hagenberger, Edgewater Drive, and all along there, because it's been crazy. It's been so crazy. The thieves, the criminal terrorists they stole the ATM right out of the wall at Bank of America there next to Black Bear Diner, which is also closed, because I used to eat there, because I like some of the their desserts. Their desserts were really good. Now those of us here living in the neighborhood, we have no restaurants to go to, literally, that we can go in and sit down and feel reasonably safe. It's just not happening. But here, uh, again, there's that's too few officers. We need round the clock, and they can't be everywhere at once. That's the sad part. Uh, you're going to have some motorcycle officers. You're going to have officers in vehicles. Um, what are they going to do with the guerrilla tactics that the terrorists are using? Uh, because that's what we referred to them at the DoD. These are guerrilla tactics, and the hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, and it makes it, and they accomplish this in seconds, and they're gone. And this is some of the things that I dealt with overseas in counterterrorism, and so I know how to deal with these uh, type of situations. And it's not an easy fix. It's very complex, and there's a lot of moving parts to that fix. Um, but it can be accomplished. But you have to know what you're doing. And this administration and the last two administrations have no clue whatsoever on what we're seeing in terms of criminal terrorism. And that's what this is, criminal terrorism. Uh, and it's too little. Still far too late. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here in the city of Oakland. If we'll see some drop, but what the criminals are just going to do, they're just going to move to another area of Oakland. Says, okay, we see police officers all over the place, and that's the sad part. The police officers, CHP officers, are at the disadvantage because they can't see the criminals, but the criminals can see them. So right now it's just a visibility game, and we know how visibility games go. The hunter always loses because the prey can see you hiding there. But then, that was one of the tactics that I used to get rid of a very dangerous drug dealer that was in my encampment back in when I returned in 2020. And I got rid of him in little more than a month, uh, with the assistance of the Oakland police officers. I laid out the tactic to them, and this was a no contact. This was a no contact whatsoever. Very easy. Uh, and what it did was disrupt the drug dealer's business to a point where he lost all his customers and he had to just get up and move. And by flushing him out from there, that's when they were able to follow him and eventually catch him. In fact, he murdered one of his clients for non-payment, literally right around the corner after she had just picked up some food from my food court. Is when I had the homeless encampment. We had the refrigerators that were operated on my solar system, and so people were free to get the prepared meals or canned goods and things that were being dropped off by my very generous donors to the encampment. And poor gal, she asked me if I had any money, cash on me that I could give her, and she told me that she owed her drug dealer money and that he was looking for her. And I don't carry cash as a general rule when I was an encampment manager. And so she literally walked around the corner about half a football field down the street, and she was shot dead by her drug dealer. I have the picture of him. I was able to give that to the police. So his ass is off the street because they knew who he was. I knew his real name because he was embedded in my camp for so long. Also, he had some medical issues that I assisted him in resolving at so that he didn't lose his leg. He had a really nasty infection, And at the time, I was also a board member at Highland Hospital, Alameda Health Systems. And so I was able to get him in there and get treated. He didn't have any medical, but again, he was treated as an indigent. And there are provisions for that. And so I told him what the procedures were, what information was necessary for him to be without worrying about a bill. And so after that, I was helping him with some of his follow-up care with bandages and stuff. I would pay for him out of my own pocket. And so we had a mutual respect. He was extremely dangerous. He carried a .357 Magnum, but he also knew I had three guns, one a .45, then my 9, and then my little deep cover gun, which was a .32 ACP. And so he also knew, he was very aware that I had totally took apart several of his henchmen that tried to mess with me. And so he knew that wasn't a good idea also. And so we did have a mutual respect in that sense. So, but we didn't want to be confrontational. I at times would confront him over a few minor things, and him and his girlfriend at the time, they would they would shine me off essentially. And so anyway, they're gone. But I've dealt with some of the worst people on the streets, the real street thugs, the terrorists, the murderers here that live within our community. And what difference the CHP assisting Oakland will make? Probably negligible, is my prediction. But we got to give it a try, because something is better than nothing. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.